Hi out there, licensing tribe. This is Carmine Danisco joining you for another episode of the Licensing Jungle. And with me today, I have my co-host, the guide, who will take us through this craziness that we call licensing. We call it a jungle. It is a jungle out there when you try to license your product. And we have a licensing expert with us. We also have a special guest that we'll bring on in a few minutes. And Jeffrey Mangus, are you out there?
I'm here. Thanks, Carmine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jeff. In the background, it actually looks like you're in a jungle. Where are you?
I'm actually, I'm in the New York jungle. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, well.
Or as Ace Frehley would say, the New York groove. That's where I'm at.
Well,
yeah, I'm in New York this week, but I'm able to work and be here and plus enjoy some family this week. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. You out in New York on business, personal, or mixture?
It's all personal, but I'm able to work and, like I say, do my business from here as well. It's great. So
yeah. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that we're going to get another episode today. I've been getting a lot of good feedback on the show. I have a few questions. If we don't go through those questions as the show progresses, I'll throw those in towards the end. But I know we have a guest on. His name is Warren Title. He is the president of the United Inventors Association. Hey, Warren, you on with us?
I am, Carmen. Good to see you. And you and Jeff? Hello.
Hey, Warren, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I heard you probably heard my little intro. Doesn't it look like Jeff's in the jungle out there, Warren?
Well, he is, but he's only 2 hours from me. I'm in Connecticut, and if I hopped on my motorcycle, I could probably be up there for lunch. So
you probably could.
Warren, I know you've been traveling. I kind of follow the United Inventors Association. I am a member, and we push a lot of our inventors to join. And I know you've been traveling a lot yourself, right? A lot of international travel.
Yeah, I was in Ireland, Norway, Sweden, west coast of Sweden, Denmark, Copenhagen, and in Iceland. So I was on the road for almost 3 weeks. So it was great. It's awesome.
That is
great. That is awesome.
Question for you, Warren, and I'll let kind of Jeff take over in a second. Is invention and innovation as prevalent or as popular as in the U.S.? And the U.S. is just going crazy, but how is it out in the other countries that we hear about?
It's not as pervasive or prevalent as it is in the United States. I think there's only one United States, but there is certainly a lot of interest. I've spoken in Ireland at conferences and a little smaller scale, but there's still a lot of interest there. It's been one of my dreams to connect a little bit more with Europe. I actually grew up in Europe, so I would love to tie in, but it's a little bit different there doing business. It's a little more regulated. It's the countries are much more divided than we are. It's not as expansive or as big or as innovative as we are, as a rule. But there's still some pockets and clubs over there, so it's fun to keep in touch. And I do get ideas from around the world, so it's great.
Wow, that's awesome. It is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It is fun. Even at the Launchpad here, we get emails and ideas and drawings and sketches from all over the world, and it is amazing to me that. The U.S. is huge, electronics and different types of industry and innovation. And I get a lot of earth type, like electronics or clean burning fuel, a lot of different types of battery power from other parts of the world. They all seem like they're all trying to make some kind of power device or using less power or saving the earth type of products from around the world.
Yeah. No, there's there's a connection between people around the world today, and with Skype and a cell phone, man, you're in business. So it's great.
It is pretty cool. So,
one of our best-selling products at Lifetime Brands is Food Huggers, and they came from two gals that live in Madrid and Amsterdam. So I Skype with them all the time. So it's great.
Wow,
it's great.
That's cool. Very cool. So I'm going to hand over the reins to Jeffrey for a second, but real quick, while you were in Ireland, did you get to play a few rounds?
I did. I believe it or not, I actually belong to a golf club there called the Old Head. So check it out. The Old Head. It's in Southern Ireland near Cork in a little town called Kinsale. And it's one of the. I love going. I go over there usually once a year, sometimes twice. So it's great.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really cool. So, good to know. I had to ask you that.
Thank you. Do you play? Are you a player?
I go out there. I don't know if you would call it playing, but I do go out there. I love being on the golf course. It's very relaxing to me to be on. It's just a lot of these courses are just so beautiful, and try to not to even pay attention to the game. Just be out there and try to kind of forget about the craziness of the world.
Well, if you and Jeff ever want to go over to Ireland, let me know and we'll set it up for you.
Yeah,
I would love that, actually.
You got it.
So very cool. So Jeff, man, I know I've been hogging the mic here, but if you got some questions, let's roll with it, man.
Number one, man, you never hog the mic. You're awesome, dude. Yeah. First off, Warren, I know we have a vast audience here, and again, we thank you for being here. We're really excited to have you on the show. But if you don't care, just tell our listeners what you do. Overall, in a way that there's some folks out there maybe don't know what you do and everything. It'd be great to hear what you have going on over there.
Well, Carmine alluded to one thing. One part of my life is the United Inventors Association. That's a nonprofit effort with inventors and clubs around the country to promote education to inventors, free education, to give them an alternative to going to some of these larger companies. We won't digress on who some of them are, but some of them don't. Some of them charge a lot of money and don't necessarily educate people. So we try to provide education. We also do trade shows. We do inventor pavilions at trade shows like the Hardware Show and PGA Golf Show and Response Expo. We used to do the Hardware Show, but they took it in-house. But they use our model, which is great. So anything that helps inventors is wonderful. We also are somewhat. I'll be down at the USPTO next week talking at their annual inventors conference, and we do a lot of things to promote inventor causes in Washington. So that's all a labor of love and give back to a community and an arena that's been very good to me. Professionally, though, I run open innovation programs for 3 companies. My middle name is Open Innovation. I'm going to officially change it, I think. Remember that basketball player, World Be Free? I'm going to change my name to, Open Innovation. I basically, what that means is that I do it for the largest housewares company, the largest power tool company, and a significant direct response television company. It could be other companies, but they would be. I would typically try to target one company per industry. And what I do is I work with management in that company to take in all the leads. I look for products and I take in leads from outside. Work with legal to do contracts and licensing deals, and I work with all the division heads to make sure we get the product to market. So I just spent the week last week, for instance, at Tektronix Industries, which is TTI Group. They own, and the Power Tool Group owns Ryobi, Rigid, and Milwaukee Power Tools. So I spent all week with them, and I actually have a great story. I don't know how much time we have. I have a phenomenal story. I have a great.
Oh, we'd love to hear it.
I got to tell this one story. You love this one, Jeff. But I was there. Basically, I call tons of leads, hundreds if not thousands, and then I put it into 20 presentations I made, and actually they love 10 of the products. So we have a good chance of doing some licensing deals with a number of products. So that's what I do professionally. But here's the good story that you'll love. So I'm getting ready for the Power Tool Group, and there's an inventor has a special product. It's a power source that goes in sort of a bag, and he's patented it, and it allows contractors and stuff to take things out to the field and charge it and recharge it and so forth. It's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. I can't go into the details because it's confidential,
Sure.
But it's so I brought it in. It was one of the last products I showed because just of the nature of things, and everybody in the room went wild over it, that they loved it, and I have the president, the head of development, innovation, everything in the room, and all division heads. So they said, can we get a sample in here? And I called the guy who's a contractor. He's literally in Chicago on the job. And I said, if you can get me a sample in here, overnight it, this is a big deal. Well, he overnighted it. They got it. They had a meeting with Depot. They're the single biggest supplier to Depot. They had a meeting with them on Friday. The buyer loved it, took the sample. It looks like we're going to put a deal together in the next couple of weeks. So you never know on these things. They just come out of left field sometimes, but they can be, they just take off,
That is an awesome story. I love to hear that. I mean, that's inspiring, and any listener out there should take that to heart. You never know where an idea is going to come from and how far it's going to go and how quick it can go that way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of pain in this business, and there's a lot of no's, and so when you get one that works, it really makes your whole weekend, But at the same time, you got to keep trying.
Yeah.
Your product has to align with what the company is looking for as well. And when that happens, things can move quickly. And when it doesn't happen, unfortunately, you hit a wall. And you just have to have the common sense and the awareness to know when to push, when to double down, when to put in more effort, and when to kind of give up and look for the next girlfriend, you know?
I agree with you. You know, I was just talking about that yesterday, and I did a little post on rejection and dealing with rejection and in licensing business, getting no's and how to inventors should get their mindset and in that, you know, to understand they're going to get rejections because no's are going to happen, you know, but everything comes closer to a yes. The more you do, the more you pitch, the more you get out there. So with that said, Warren, one of the questions I have is, where do you find most inventors fall short when bringing products to you or trying to submit to you through the companies? Where do you think is their shortcomings?
Well, okay, that's a very good question. Let me put it in order. Before we get to the product, I think it's important to let people know that I do evaluate them as well as the product. So let's start
very good.
Them.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with people who are polite, who are listening. Because I have been through this, I probably have received, you know, over 20,000 submissions, if not more. And so it's not reinventing the wheel. So there is a little bit of education that has to go on sometimes in that phone call. And I can tell when people are listening. Women are really good listeners, by the way.
Right.
Men tend to sometimes get into their own world, you know. So I would use a tip to men, you know, try to structure it. Try to do an equal amount of talking, you know, not all the talking. And be polite, be not know-it-all-ish and all that. I would say that, so that's on the human being part of it, you know, which is easy enough for people to control. That's something they have something to control over. As far as the product of that, because if I get the sense, you know, I'm starting to get deeper and deeper into this. So if I get the sense that we can't get a deal done, or it's not going to happen, then my interest is going to wane really quickly, and I don't have a lot of time. So, and I'm sure I'm typical. So you're not going to make the sale in the first minute, Jeff. But what you can do is make a great first impression. So I know I've gone on a little bit more about this, but I'm putting my thoughts together a little bit more because I want to be upfront with people. Because I will say that most of the people I work with are great, but there are some that just take themselves out of the picture in the first minute, you know, and it's too bad. But I think as far as the product go, really, with the companies I work with, by and large, the barriers to entry are functioning prototype and typically some sort of file patent. Now, let's talk about the prototype first. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be professional. It could be cobbled together by themselves in the basement. But something that, number one, shows that it functions and works, because if I just get CAD drawings or drawings, I'm never sure if it works, you know, and drawings are great, but this elevates the conversation. And the second thing is they can take a video of it. And videos are really important today, more and more, especially the companies that I go to. I can't even show anything at TTI if there's not a video. We want to put it up on the wall. They want to see it, you know. So even if it's a homemade video that says, hey, I'm Joe, I'm a contractor from Des Moines, and I've got the new, you know, drill here, that's fine. It doesn't have to be professional. So I like to see functioning prototypes that also helps them to narrow down on what's unique about the offer or the product. And as far as patents go, probably less important on my DRTV company. But still, you know, at least what we call a PPA, or provisional patent application, for the first year, which is fairly inexpensive to apply for, and folks can do a lot of the work on their own. It tells me that they have a level of interest that's more than just, you know, what I don't want to see, Jeff, is and I get this from time to time, people just sending me 30 product ideas and I'm supposed to go through and pick the winner. You know, it's like the music industry, you know, I mean, send me your best song, and if it hits me, we'll move on, you know. So I don't know if that answers the question, but those are some of the things that I look for.
Well, it absolutely does answer the question. I really appreciate your insight, because everything you say is, you know, it's what I coach, and it's what I tell inventors all the time. Number one, being professional, being courteous, being kind is the first step, you know, because you're right. If you come across as arrogant or a know-it-all, a lot of folks, a lot of potential licensees will not do business with you. They'll shut you down in the first 5 minutes. You're correct. I mean, it just happens. So, and then also you touched on prototypes. I love that information, Warren, that everyone, a lot of inventors, as you know, throughout the years, make mistakes of going out and doing fully functional prototypes, spending thousands of dollars on something they have no really earthly idea if there's a market for, or even if there is a market for, things are going to change, so this is great information, and I really appreciate you.
Well, that's where the wisdom comes in, because you don't want to. I also have met many people over the years that have spent the magical $250,000. I mean, I don't know why people come up with that number. I spent $250,000. I don't know. That's like the most common. Like if you were on, one of those talk shows, that would be the answer. But I don't want anyone to spend $250,000. But you do have to spend enough of it to make an impression, which might be only a couple $1,000s.
Right. It's
very manageable. And at least get yourself into the ball game, and then you can see from there what the feedback is.
You touched on something that was one of my questions, because I've seen it, and I totally am a prolific. I totally push it as well as video. The importance of video in the industry. Have you seen it really push toward the true importance of video now in the industry?
No question about it. It used to be sell sheets, one-page sell sheets. I used to spend a lot of my presentations telling people how to craft a sell sheet, and there's nothing wrong with a sell sheet. They're fine. Keep it to one page. Get your benefit statement out quickly. But the videos bring them to life. And I would just say that on videos, the parameters are try to make it not more than a minute. You could maybe go to 2 minutes. Do not make it 7 or 8 minutes. Okay. With with the Indigata Vita, the parcel leading into it. I can't spend 2 or 3 minutes getting to the point in the video. So try to keep it concise. Also sometimes people do these 15-second videos, which are so quick that it doesn't show. I would say about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute is the perfect video. And it should, what problem are you solving? And then a demonstration of how it works. There's nothing better than actually showing a live demo of the product. I mean, I get a lot of written descriptions. I have sort of an application system on my submission system on my websites, and it helps me a lot to pan down on things. But when I see a video, I get it almost instantly. So it's good stuff.
Well, that's exactly. That's what I coach. What I tell students: keep it between 30 seconds, no longer than 2 minutes.
Yep.
2 minutes is if you've gone 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you've gone too long.
Yep.
Because potential licensees just do not have the time. I mean, you're a busy man, and you're point proof that you just don't have time to sit and watch a 15-minute video.
And then to our point of what we were talking about before, which you already know, and then subliminally, see the question is, it's not that you don't like people or that they don't, they rub you the wrong way. It's more that if they don't have their act together now, or if they're rude now, or can I ever do a deal with them? Are these people I can actually, because it's not easy to sign the deal. You have a lot of legal stuff going back and forth. It gets pretty heady, and so I don't want to go down that path of being left at the altar because the person's not right. So that's another thing that the video can help you present yourself in the best possible light. So.
Well, this is exactly what I'm all about, and you keep going back to being a professional and going back to being courteous and being kind, and how far it goes. And I'm glad to hear. I'm glad the audience is hearing you say it. Because coming from me, I mean, even my students say, because I bang it over their head. Be professional.
Jeff, you're a very good example yourself, and you lead by example. So you should just show them what you do. You're one of the most polite people I know, and I just that's always cool. So it leads to, hey, I got all the time for Jeff he needs. Even if it's a no, even if it's we're not doing something, at least you can always come back. So.
Well, absolutely, and I appreciate that. Really means a lot because you and I, professionally, I've submitted products to you, and I've gotten no's, but I've moved on and keep pushing, and I really appreciate that. But because I'm a firm believer in all aspects, and in being professional, and anyone listening, being professional is not just, the kind words, is putting yourself in a position where your marketing materials are right. Everything, your video is how you want it to be. You've directed your project. So in all aspects, and you just said a video will tell if someone's a professional or not. It does tell the tale.
Then you're a damn good coach, brother. So good job.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot.
real quick question for you.
Yeah.
And I know that you were speaking a little bit about how you present the products. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we all know inventors get emotionally attached to their product. And I think it's a great idea to have get training either by any of you guys, which is what you're talking about, because it is so important. But I don't think people realize the small amount of time, that window that you have or they have to actually catch that license job. I mean, and maybe you could kind of explain how quickly it has to be done.
Well, let's have fun with that. Okay. So sometimes when I'm in a public setting, and people, can throw things at me, I'm more polite. But let's find out that, I get a lot of submissions. I could get, on my housewares company last year, I had over 4,500, so that company alone. So now what I would say is this. I would say at least half of them come off the table right away, probably 70%, because they're not ready. They haven't vetted the market. You know how many people send me things that are already on the market, all they have to do is look up on Amazon, it doesn't take any effort, or go down to your local Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever, or do your research. Or I've seen it before, or, we've tried it, I've been through this, it's not my first rodeo, I like to say. And then you pine in on the ones that are, more interesting, but at the end of the day, there might be 150 true products that Lifetime Brands over the course of the year will really like. Now, when you do all these numbers, which statisticians like to do, you could say, well, there's 4,500 submissions, there's only 150 that you like, and all that. What's the odds of that and all that? That's true, but that's a little bit like, you ever hear about the guy who drowned walking across a lake that had an average depth of 3 feet? It's not really apples to apples, because you got to understand, I'm cutting the vast majority of them out. They're like kids that applied to Harvard who were like me. I applied to Brown University. I wasn't, they took me off the table the first minute, they were doing, I wasn't, I had my, average student. So, but I would say that I need to get down to the people we're serious about. And usually those people are well served by being well prepared and all the things that Jeff was talking about. So you may not make it, but you improve your odds go from, 1 in 100 to 1 in 10 by knowing what you're doing and advancing what's right. And then from there, we get serious, and then we go through a lot of exercises after that. Can we even build the product for the right price? We had a tremendous bagel cutter a couple of years ago that had the scissor operation that was brilliant, because, when you use the guillotines, which we're the #1 seller of bagel fighters, and I know the inventor of the guillotine, I love the guy, but they can squash the bagel sometimes. So this was like doing this, and we built it, and you know what? We had a 20% return rate because the blades never could work properly, and we spent a year and $150,000 on that. So there are other reasons why products don't make it besides. So what you want to do is get yourself into an arena where you're being seen, you're being taken seriously, it gets advanced. But you never can be happy until, I'm going to tell you now the secret to happiness. Don't get happy until you get your first reorder. Because everything up to that is a game. It's whether you get seen, whether you get noticed, whether the company believes in you, whether they license, whether they put it out, they package it, they build it, they put it at the right price, they put it out in the market. It could still sit on the shelf and not sell, in which case the retailers are sending it back to you unpaid. But when it gets reordered and it starts to take off, that's the first time that you can breathe a sigh and say, life is good. Because that's what really, it takes consumers to buy the product in the numbers sufficient enough to drive the product and keep it on the shelf. That's what it's all about here. And that's a hard thing to get to. That's an awful lot of dates. That's an awful lot of whatever people do when they date to get to the altar. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I wanted to point that out because, there's only 365 days in a year, and then you have holidays, then you have weekends. That means,
are you going to stick with this? Okay. All right. So how do I do all this? I have no clue, except that to me, it's not a job. Jeff probably feels the same way. It's an adventure.
Yes.
I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I like to ride my motorcycle too. I like to go to concerts, and I like to, have a life. But I love the arena, and so and I can go through things pretty quickly and get back to people on a pretty quick basis. So bottom line is my day is spent usually I break down the companies, and I'll spend a couple hours on Lifetime, a couple hours on TTI, a couple hours on Merchant Media, a couple hours on the UIA, a couple of hours trying to reinvent my business and rebrand myself. And all those things keep going. The great thing is I should show you around. My world headquarters is a gardening shed here in Connecticut. And it's a lovely place. I can come out here at night, which I know it sounds like, oh, you work at night. No, I don't work at night. I come out to my computer and I have fun doing what we're trying to do, which is get products on the market. And it's all made worthwhile when it actually succeeds, and it makes it, and then you feel good about life and all. So it works. Somehow it works. But I will tell you this: my model is somewhat inefficient in that I play a hero role for the companies that I work with, which are $1 billion to $2 billion companies. So they're not small. They have 1,000 to 2,000 employees. So they're not big by American standards. They're not General Electric, but they're pretty big. And if I don't have passion and help guide the product through, it's not going anywhere. I mean, because these things just sit, and nobody does anything about it because they have other things to concentrate on. So I don't know how many more companies I could pick up, without, I used to have 65 employees when I had my other business years ago, and I swore I would never have another employee. Because you get to hate them after a while, I shouldn't say that. No, they're wonderful, but it just gets a little overwhelming. So I've tried to do it all on my own, and it has one benefit of keeping me much closer to the action and much more real, much more passionate, and much more integral to what people are doing, instead of like being in another office in another room and dictating things. It keeps me hopping all the time, which I actually like. So hopefully that answers it.
So that's the good part about it. So I'll hand it back over to Jeffrey. I won't ask any more questions about that.
Oh, no, that was a good one, actually.
All right.
That's great.
Jeff,
everything you're saying. I'm sorry, Carmine. Can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that talking about everything you're talking about. I talk to a lot of inventors now too. I'm on the phone with a lot, and I immediately can tell if they're coachable, if they're ready, or if they're stuck in their ways and they're not coachable. And also I hear it all the time. Hey, I want to license this thing and I want to do it quick. I'm ready for the check. And I immediately, I'm not a dream squasher, but I tell them right off the bat, this is not a get rich quick business.
No, good for you. I mean, that's pretty important. The line I love is if somebody sent me something and we've been looking at it for a couple of weeks and they call up, good, I have another company who's interested if I don't hear back from you, by the end of the week. And my answer to them is do what you got to do. I mean, do what's in your own best. Always for inventors, do what's in your best interest. The problem is that inventors usually don't know what's in their best interest. And if they pull it away from the world's biggest power tool company to take it to somebody else when it's in the middle of evaluation, they're probably not doing themselves right, But if that's what they want to do, go ahead, brother. It's a free country. And then usually I get a call back the next day. I didn't really mean it and all that. So skip that line. Only deliver those lines when you're ready. If somebody else has a licensing deal on the table and you're ready to go, maybe use it then if you want to leverage your position. But otherwise, you gotta, to your point, Jeff, you gotta play the game out. I mean, I mentioned off the top of the show, an exciting product that might move quickly. But I'll tell you what, even if they love it, it's going to take us another 2 months to do all the legal on it, just to pull it together, the back and forth.
I'm really glad you said it, because that was one of the questions I had, because I was going to ask, what is the average time frame from the time that, let's say you bring a product and then the company loves it. What is the average time frame? Because I think it's really important. Of course, I'm sure it depends on the product and what, the excitement, but there's still time that has to come into play.
Sure,
Well,
sure. And the
what is it?
key words that you said
What
is
do you think?
once the company loves it. So just very quickly on the point up to when they love it, that portion could take months, just to get it in front of them, a full review. It could take a month, it could take 2 months, it could take 3 or 4 months. So don't take it personally. These things sometimes get stretched out. There are vacations, there's travel schedules. I mean, right now, I have someone that wants to fly in from LA on a product that we're looking at very closely for Lifetime Brand next week because they're going to be in New York, and all the people are away on vacation. So what are you going to do? It takes time. But once
Right.
they declare that they love it, and then I start running you down, and then your phone is lit up. Because I've learned, once they like something, I drop everything else I'm doing and I get after it.
Sure.
It takes, typically we go through sort of a pre-licensing non-binding term sheet, which can take a week to review, a week or two. Then that turns eventually into a licensing agreement, which can take easily a month, if not 6 weeks. You have your chance to go through it with your lawyer, redline it, then it goes back, the company does it. It takes 2 or 3 back and forths to make it happen. I'd say from the time that the company is flat out wants to do it and is moving full speed ahead, it takes a couple of months after that to finalize the deal. And it does depend upon the industry and the company. So they're all a little bit different. In the DRTV area, usually when we sign a deal, we want a 120-day or 4-month period to test it at several levels, including a TV test. So they're all, but the point being that from the time you first engage the company to a successful product signing, it could take you easy 6 to 9 months, easily. So just realistic.
See, that's exactly the answer I was hoping you'd give, because that's what I tell people. It's going. I mean, you got to be in it for the long haul. You got to be prepared mentally, and also prepared. With everything that you're going to be. You got to know the processes, know what you're going to be facing. You're going to know that, and about term sheets. You're going to have to understand what's going to be happening in front of you, and it's really important to know this stuff.
Well, and the smarter the people are that are on the other end of the line from me, the easier it is to put it together. So remember, I don't know if you had this down where you are, but in the New York area, we had some stores called Sims, and their line was, "An educated customer is our best customer." So, you count on when you put something on sale, you want your customers to understand that you're putting it on sale and there's something there. So I think that was their point. My point is, if you come in prepared, just like you say, Jeff, if you've coached them well, if they, the worst thing in the world is you finally get down to a deal and they go, 5%, is that all you're going to pay? And I'm like, well, interestingly enough, that's at the high end of the spectrum. And what did you want? Oh, I want 20%. Ooh, okay. Well, tell you what, take another hit of acid and then call me in a year. So that's what I'm thinking. So knowing the parameters, knowing the industry that you're trying to exploit, having a leg up, what the things that you provide to people. Now, once they've been through the process a few times, they learn it and they get it down. But the invention world is complete. It has a lot of people that come and go. They come in for a year or two, and for whatever reason they leave it. Membership to the UIA is continually changing. And it seems to be the nature of our business. So to reach out, get your help and other people's help, and come in professionally and know it's a big. It allows me to have a more complete conversation with people, because that's the other thing. If I don't mind people trying to drive a hard bargain. But if I have my house on the market for $300,000 and you come in and offer me $270,000, we're going to talk it through. But if I have my house on the market for $300,000 and you offer me $50,000, we're done. So you got to know your marketplace and.
That's exactly right, and that's what I do, coach. I tell inventors, I prepare them from everything from getting numbers, getting wholesale costs. Really digging in so they can help the potential licensee in the end. And plus, again, it goes right back to being a professional, looking like a professional and acting like one. And when they see that you're being a helpful inventor, then they're going to do business with you faster or easier than someone who's not.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
I know you're short on time, Warren. I really do appreciate you being here. You've been awesome today. A lot of information was given, and everything.
Yeah.
It was almost like we scripted it exactly, right? It's really,
We didn't.
we did script it. I
In fact, I
know.
missed last week.
Hey, real quick, Warren, Carmine.
Yeah.
Can you give a little bit about the UIA?
Sure. The United Inventors Association is what we call a 501c3 nonprofit, 100% nonprofit. We get our revenues from a combination of corporate donations and donations from individuals. And we also run industry trade show inventor pavilions, where we just got a nice check-in from the hardware show. We ran the hardware show in May, early May, and we finally got paid. Oh no, we got paid. I'm sorry, but it's nice because we have enough money now for through the end of the year. In any event, we're money doesn't drive us, but obviously it helps with resources and things. So we try to educate. We have a website, www.uiausa.org. So uiausa.org. Sometimes if we're having a UIA meeting and we're like in Dallas a couple weeks ago, we do go around chanting UIA to the USA. Herb Brooks, UIA. But anyway, but nobody really knows what we're talking about. In any event, we try to stay in close contact with the clubs. Actually, that's what I was talking to Stephen about today. He's got an effort going out to the club leaders around the country. So it's something I love, the local inventor clubs, and they close to my heart. We try to do a lot of things. I'm actually raising a significant amount of money to do a club president's meeting where they'll all be paid for and fly them into San Diego next April. Wow. So we want to do a lot of that. I'll be down in Washington next week. There's going to be some peaceful protests at the USPTO. I've been the middleman between the PTO and the rabble-rousers, who are great, by the way. They're great people. Josh Malone, terrific guy. Adrian Pelkis, all these guys, they're all coming in, so it's all wonderful. So I try to do whatever I can to help. At the end of the day, our role at the UIA is we were born out of the USPTO. So while there's going to be some protesters out on the street, I will be inside the building speaking and probably meeting with the next director of the patent office. So I don't want to give up that role. It took me too long to get inside the building, but God bless everybody who wants to burn their draft card. I'm all for it. But we try to anything. Look, here's my funnel, because a lot of stuff goes on in this weird inventor community of ours, and there's a lot of different people running around doing different things. My only litmus test is this: is it good for the inventor? If it's good for the inventor, I'm with you, and if it's not, then I'm not. It's as simple as that. So that's what we try to do. But the UIA is free to join, and we are considering some premium services for next year, where because we do need to have some money. We don't have a big budget, but it helps us with all the things that we're doing. But right now it's totally free, and it will always remain free. That was from Woodstock, Jeff. So I was a kid that was 14 at the time of Woodstock, and my mom took one look at Jimi Hendrix and said, "There's not a chance you're going to Woodstock." But having said that, I made actually I'm going to Woodstock this weekend to see Carlos Santana. But having said that, I remember very well when they knocked the fences down and they made it a free concert. So that's what I said when I came in the UIA. We used to charge $100 for membership. I said, this is a free concert from now on. If I'm going to be involved, it's a free concert. So everybody will get something, and then we might have some additional premium things for like $25 or something, something very nominal. Right. But we're not here to take people's money, but we just need to also fund some of the things we're doing. So that's the love of my life, the UIA. So
that's great. That's great stuff.
Speak with everybody. It's a free membership. A lot of information up there on the website. So if you are an inventor, go ahead and join. There's nothing holding you back from joining.
Thanks, Carmen. Thanks for calling on that. Appreciate it.
All right, Greffrey, your mic if you want to.
Well, first off, thank you so much, both of you, for a wonderful show. Warren, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you on, and the information you gave today was priceless. Honestly, it's stuff that inventors need to hear. Being prepared, the whole thing is it's been great to have you on and to hear it from a prolific person like you. It's really important.
Well, cool. Well, we'll do it again. So
sounds great. Thanks, Warren. Take care.
See you guys. Peace.
Take care.